right there, dude.
Against everything right there, you know?
Against the gravity, against the wind.
Look at this shot from Kirkland, too.
Look at these guys dueling it out. What?
Yeah, man. That was massive.
Man, those are like heavyweight punches right there. Just getting traded.
We do have a foot fault call from Curtis on Kirkland here.
He said you stepped too far away from the disc, huh?
It was not seconded, though.
Interesting. Interesting.
Did you touch your hand on the ground?
Yeah.
So that's a football, right?
If you fall forward, it is a foot fault.
Yeah.
Did you fall inside the circle?
This is inside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So Owen thought that she was just outside the circle.
Yeah,
And so when she released this putt, she had too much forward momentum. And so she puts down that hand.
There's no reputt.
Okay. Yeah, the rule in the past, there was a warning for the first time that happened. Now the rules have been changed. That's an automatic one-stroke penalty.
A little comebacker, save his par.
Falling putt.
We have a falling putt call.
Good though. Just reputt. Hey, did someone second it?
I second it.
Oh, yeah, he did.
We have a second on the falling putt.
This was here and my hand landed here.
Was that a... Yeah. There's some discussion now.
This rock was right here. I hit this rock. All right.
I know, but
They're gonna make him putt it again, guys.
Cole and Scott are going to have tricky little putts with this low ceiling.
Wow, you were right, Paul. That was really tough.
Yeah, wondering if he was out even outside the circle. Looked like he kind of caught himself.
I saw that as well.
Bullseye.
Gannon not messing around.
That's a way to finish.
She set herself up for the winner drop in.
And she went birdie.
The par.
Oh, par.
Yeah, she could have birdied if she
could
wanted
have.
to, though, right?
She could have.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
She could have.
Yeah. Oh, foot fault?
It's like that. Before or after I released, as you released. How do you feel it? I don't know.
Question about that foot fault. I did kind of see that at the booth. It looked like the disc did pop up a little bit. So we'll see if they can get a second.
Yeah, we've seen it quite a bit this tournament, even with Ronsley and Ryan. I don't see it. It's not until after. I don't think this is a foot fault.
She may have, maybe she rotated into it.
Yeah, Brian.
Which should be not a foot fault because she would have released the disc at the same time.
Did you happen to catch that one live, Brian?
The foot fault call has been overturned. No foot fault.
Awesome. That is the correct call. I'm glad to hear that.
There's no wind to compete with.
Ooh, Kalen can see the sky, which is nice.
We got a football here.
Football? Yeah. I stepped on top of the disc and he threw. Okay. Yeah. What happened? I mean, it needs to be seconded by another card mate, but. Yeah, it was, yeah, you stepped on it a little bit.
There you go, Austin seconds the football.
I think it's just stroke.
Brian.
From, and then play where it is? Yeah, it is. Play out the shot. So I'm throwing.
This is tricky. The step on the disc foot faults.
There you go.
Man. Oof, that's tight. I don't know.
That's a hard one to call.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tight. So he kicks it on the follow through, but that's not a problem. It's more about when on the plant.
That's a hard one to call.
Yeah.
It's just you see the disc move a lot when someone's throwing.
Yeah.
You know, when did it move? When did he step on it? You know, it's hard. That's a tough one to call.
And it's hard to call that too, because then the card, like it's just the card and everything is not good. But yeah, like I said, it usually benefit to the player, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough to call that.
It was seconded, so not a lot that he can do about that. But hopefully he can shake that off. I mean, we're talking about how level-headed he is. Hopefully he can just shake that off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, totally. Is this good?
Wow, and so right before Evan was about to putt, Scott stops him and says that his right foot was too far off of center. You do have roughly 4 inches, but he thought that Evan was more than the 4 inches, and he said, I don't want to have to call you on a foot fault after you putt, so he stopped him ahead of time. He said, I don't want to throw you off. He wasn't trying to work him. He clearly just didn't want him to incur the penalty.
In the rough, hopefully he will have a window out of that. Here goes Simon's going to tee off on one.
Yeah, he's got the good distance. He's going to get it right in the sweet spot out there.
And this is very interesting right here.
There's no limit on time, right? Just because you threw off the dirt. I have to call that. You can see your footprint.
Saying that you
right there. You can see your footprint right there. It wasn't so obvious. Yeah, that's where you threw from. It's all right.
Paul Macbeth called Simon was out for a foot fault.
Yeah, we go again now? Or what?
Yeah,
you do.
And so he'll immediately have to re-tee.
In order to advance. Ricky with a very safe play.
With the low ceiling shot, almost every player had to go either flex forehand or overhand of some sort. Now there's some actual airspace. It's not huge, but it at least allows a good low ceiling driver to get through and 120 feet or so
on pure hyzer.
And was that foot fault called?
I don't know if it was called.
I just heard Philo.
I heard it muttered. I'm not sure.
Fault.
I'm not sure if it was officially called. That's probably 35.
And the foot fault was called on Ricky. He has had some issues this round keeping his foot not passing that line there, and it was seconded by the group. And this is the first time I've actually seen this. A foot fault has been called, which this year, as you may know, means an automatic stroke penalty. But Ricky is also in the hazard area.
Another penalty.
That's a 2-stroke penalty.
Yeah.
And those penalties are both added.
Yeah, so he's putting for bogey.
He's putting for a 4.
Nico LeCastro now going to set up. This is 4-2 and a share of the lead. Pure as you want it. He was called for a foot fault here. Barry Schultz has called him for a foot fault.
I do not think that my left foot is in front. Anyone else gonna second it? Dude, I never.
To me, that looks in front.
I want you to look at it. Derek, yes or no? My left foot never moved.
Mine wasn't 3 seconds. That's true.
These guys, either one of them, my left foot never moved.
There's a controversy. Barry says when his foot fault, he called it on himself. It was after 3 seconds.
I did say something. I promise you I said something. Oh, he seconded.
And there has been a second.
Oh, yeah.
There has been a second from Jason Light. And whether Nico likes it or not, the group has called a foot fault on him, and he is going to have to re-putt. Barry Schultz called it. Jason Light has seconded it. That is a tie for the... And he is not going to give it to him. Nico forced now to go get this out of the basket. The drama building here late Sunday afternoon. As Nico called, this is our third foot fault during this round. And Jason Light being the man, stepping up in second in that. And let's see if Nico can make 2 of these. This is for a share of the lead. Not a problem as Nico smarts off to Barry. Barry says, nice putt.
Age for birdie.
She just called herself on a falling putt. Falling putt from me. It still needs to be seconded, doesn't it?
With the rule change recently, I think in 20, I can't remember which year, I think you're correct.
And that's an immediate stroke penalty?
Yes.
That wasn't a falling putt. She held onto the tree? Let's show us again. Oh, I see. Her left hand grabs the tree on her left side.
Right there.
Right there.
I saw the hesitation. That's all I can really say that I saw.
Sarah? I was watching. I didn't even see it.
Okay.
You wouldn't have said anything. I wouldn't have.
I know, but that's not the spirit of the game.
I understand, but I'm like honest.
And I would be seconded.
And it's like I almost want to say warning for all you guys for not watching me. You know,
I was watching you.
Right. I mean, I was watching you, but not from an angle that I could see that.
I'm obviously not going to.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
of
just
course.
saying like that's all strong.
I mean, and I would be seconding her off of her word, and so I don't know if that's not been allowed either.
I mean, I was watching too, and I didn't see it. I didn't catch it.
I didn't see it
I'm
either.
sure everyone on DGN saw it, and they're talking about it currently. And I would prefer.
I saw it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a player. Doesn't matter.
I did too.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, guys.
I didn't know if I had any weight.
I would rather take a 3 than like have people saying that I'm a cheater, so, or myself thinking about that. I'm gonna ready this up.
Just lay up your next cut for 5 feet. This is for the football to 11.
She's starting to look at the line.
I'm
gonna second it.
Okay.
So it'll be a 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It happened so quickly.
And we've heard the final decision there from the tour director, Jeff Spring. Paige clearly was uncomfortable not taking a penalty there. She knew she caught her body. None of the other competitors could, with a clear conscience, second that. And the tour director and tournament directors are all right there to help keep the contest clean.
Idea.
Yeah.
I think it was. We can't use video evidence.
So they're talking about the tree earlier, the Paige Pierce foot fault. So the rule though, if the tree was behind her lie, you actually can't grab it.
I was doing a second so we can move on.
I'm like
actually
90% sure it wasn't in front of my lie. I thought it was
I don't know, Paige. The internet seems to think it was behind her lie.
It was parallel with her back leg, it seemed like. So, yeah, she did step out to the side.
Really matter at all here.
I say the birdie.
It's really my second. I can feel my second.
Oh gosh, this is really close, isn't it?
And we can't use the
The
video.
camera is in front of her
Can
slightly.
we just
Right.
go back to that spot and look at it? Silver, you said.
I think it's behind her lie, honestly.
The backside of the tree is behind the mini.
Yeah, it totally is.
It felt like It felt like I
Look where
grabbed
her
it to
front
the
of her
left
toe
of me.
is.
It doesn't. I don't recall
Even
ever
with the tree,
going
but the
in
tree's
front of me.
from this angle behind her.
Yeah, I don't think it was like that.
She kicked her mini too, actually. Not that this matters, but look,
This out now, probably.
her mini pops up,
It'd be best.
What is my card number?
which is technically
We
a
already
football
had
too,
that
right?
conversation.
If you want to get crazy
Both
technical about
officials
it.
and all 3 card members did not.
Isn't
So what
it?
are we trying to
Depending on, I mean,
I'm
if
just
she's
going to let
already,
you know that
if
I'm
it's
gonna,
already
like,
released
appeal
from her
my
hand,
second to the rules
but kind of
officials
like
and-
that foot movement in the
and
ground
call,
could have done something
but,
to it.
like, I don't. I think my understanding of the rules is that it was not a falling putt.
And it has to be second.
Okay.
So we could assume that you could possibly be one stroke better at the end of this round. Right.
This is
Where we
I'll-
want to,
I'll
as a
talk to
working,
Mike
as a working.
I'm gonna leave it as is
Yeah.
and talk at the end. But
Yeah,
just assume.
I'll try to talk to Mike as soon as possible so the rules official can make a final call.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for
That
the
was
discussion. Sorry, it's a tough one, so I
Yep.
appreciate the
It is,
patience.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Hole 13, Kristen? 4. That was a 4 for me. Missy?
Very
3.
respectfully
Sarah, 4.
and very professionally being taken care of, as we want the right result for Paige Pierce. She's such an awesome person to have on the card that she's willing to, damage her own score to make sure that she didn't do anything wrong. But right now, I think the rest of the world wants Paige to have that 2.
It was ruled that it was not a falling putt, so there is no penalty. If you were watching live, there was some debate about it, and it doesn't really matter in the end. This is her actual score reflected on the bottom.
Yep, it was ruled as a legal putt.
That looks to be pretty good.
Looks pretty good, but he's pushed a little long. He drops down just about 20 feet away from the basket, but in a pretty tough spot.
That's an awkward. Oh, then Joel is trying to get to his disc.
Yeah, so right now he's getting in there to mark it. Lots of thick thorns and such out here.
So the trouble with this is trying to get back to the disc. And those are, there's thorns in there. It's just a jungle. He's currently attached to one.
Yeah, it's a difficult area to have 20, 25 feet from the basket. I don't know if it's really a good thing to have this close to the basket. These thorns and things that are here were not deemed as a casual relief area, so it is something that the players are supposed to play from.
Does anybody have another mini?
And
it looks like he's taking it back from, or what's his plan here, do you think?
So yeah, he has been trying to get in there. He comes over and says that he is not able to get to his lie and wants to take casual relief back behind it. I'm in there looking at it right now saying I could get in there within 15 seconds, I believe, and take this shot. We walk off to talk a little more while he is deciding to go ahead and take his casual relief here, further back behind his disc.
But you cannot take casual relief from something that is not deemed a casual obstacle.
So what was decided afterwards, we went to the next hole, got the TD, and since the majority of the group decided that it was a playable lie and that he could have physically gotten in and got his disc behind the marker that he put down to mark his disc, that it was a playable lie, so his casual relief was then taking a stroke as well. So he was, instead of the 4 throws that Joel threw here, he is taking 1 stroke along with that casual relief.
Interesting. That's something you don't see every day, but good description of the situation there.
Yeah, and it was like we double checked with the TD on the next tee pad, and then once the round was over, got additional confirmation that was the correct call.
Wow. Extreme anhyzer release, super high. That's a shot you don't see a lot of players have command over.
This isn't a shot that you practice. Oh, a foot fault has been called.
Interesting.
Look where my mark is, though, bro.
I just didn't know where the mark was. You stepped on your disc in general.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else saw it though.
It wasn't seconded, I don't think.
I didn't see it.
Okay. I just saw it step the disc. That's all I saw. So I didn't know if you guys saw it.
All right. A second has to be made within a short period of time, within a reasonable amount of time, and none was made. Kevin will move on. And
Garrett, you got a second. You were about a foot to the right of your disc.
Patrick Brown to save his par.
Yeah, I moved. I fell, but
You're inside the circle? I couldn't tell you're inside the circle.
I don't know where I'm at. There's no circle here.
It's behind. Yeah, it's behind you. If you fell forward, then it's a football.
So, putt it again?
No, the putt counts. It's just a.
Nobody called me on the football.
It has to be seconded.
I can't call myself. Nobody seconded.
You can second. I couldn't see if that was right behind the tree, to be honest.
So nobody called it, so it's actually. I mean, I stepped to the side, but I didn't know I actually went forward on my angle. I started from here.
From my angle, I can't see you step forward, but if you said you step forward, then your word.
Well, I'm asking, so I can't call myself. It's in the rules.
Did you call it?
No one called it. Nobody called it.
I didn't see it.
It was kind of to the side. I just asked if I was going forward.
Casually snags his disc really nicely there.
That
too.
was a
that was while carrying a conversation, and he just hit a 35-footer. Well, actually,
well, no, it wasn't.
Okay,
It was
never
not
mind.
35 feet. That's the problem. I was on the top of the hillside. I couldn't quite see his feet, but from that replay angle, it did look like he stepped to the side, maybe a bit in front of his live, but either way, it wasn't called. And in that situation, you just have to move on.
Football. I agree. Because you got to get up to your mini. You got it. So it's only a foot. Yeah. Did you watch that?
Again.
Where was my foot line?
You're not close enough.
Dude,
to
you're
the
2
Scott.
feet behind your
You're behind it, but you are well.
You're in line with it, but you're 2 feet behind it.
All right. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hate to call that penalty on someone.
Hey, am I arguing?
This far away from your mini, man, you have to call it.
Ken, drop it. I'm not arguing.
I know
Danny, I got to call a foot fault on that.
Ricky going very wide with the forehand. Maybe a little too wide.
And it looks like a foot fault was called on Ricky by Nico.
I'm just calling the rules because I seen it. He was
I
3 feet
don't
behind it.
think.
You're exaggerating, first of all. I want you to look at the camera real quick. It's a football.
You can't use video evidence. Obviously, a tense moment here, but
At least 2 feet behind.
I don't think any other player saw it. I saw some still shots. I do believe it was a foot fault. I can't blame the other players for maybe not noticing, and certainly not intentional by Ricky.
Right.
But with the new rules,
What Nico's doing right now is trying to round up the troops on this one. But if they didn't see it and they didn't call it at the time, and Ricky didn't second it, which is a new thing, the player can second his own foot fault. So once that situation has been called and
hanging out wide over the left side, OB gets a reverse. Here, I'm going to try and move a little closer.
It was 3 feet behind. It's a football. I wasn't as far as you said. At least 2 feet behind. At least 2 feet behind.
I didn't see anything. I'm sorry, I didn't see it, but I wasn't even paying attention.
It was more than this far behind the mini. Hold on a second. No, this is not verified. What are you talking about, dude? Did anybody watch? He was this far behind the mini. I'm just calling it because that's the rules for everybody. I'm not making an exception for anybody.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Dude.
I'll call a rule on anybody, but like I said, I didn't see it.
It wasn't even close. It was
I'll
this
call a
far
rule on
behind.
anyone. Let that be known.
No scene on the video.
All right. Johnny McRae. Well, first of all, Nico is calling for a foot fault, as he's saying right now that Ricky's one of his best friends, but he just wants it known that that was a foot fault. He was saying he was at least 2 or 3 feet behind his mark. That is what Nico is telling. Meanwhile, KJ did not see it cleanly, and when asked of Johnny McRae said, "I'll call a rule on anybody," and then he winked at me and said that he's not afraid to call a rule ever. However, he didn't see it, so we'll see how this plays out. We know that Nico is...
Yeah, I believe so, yeah, because it's an immediate stroke now. Verify that, but
From my understanding, it is that way.
I want to look in the rule book.
Yeah, I mean,
I want it to be official for everybody. If I was 3 feet, I guarantee I would have got called, and I would have made guaranteed.
Seconded it, then
here's a view. You can see the disc or mini there. So it looks like Rick's plant foot is, yeah, I'm going to say that's a pretty clear foot fault.
You get 30 centimeters behind the disc.
But I don't think anybody's in the wrong there. I mean, I don't think anyone's trying to cheat. I think Johnny and KJ legitimately didn't see it. I can also understand Nico's frustration.
Wow.
And look, that's a way to use that frustration to make a great putt. But I can understand Nico's frustration after seeing a pretty clear rules violation.